Well, hello, and another Monday morning. Who, it's all a mystery to me. It's all a mystery to me. It's, well, after all that palaver, here we are, and it is a heady 11 degrees outside, and it's going to stay that way all this week, according to the weather forecasters. Rather pleasant, a gentle breeze, and a little bit of scattered sunshine from time to time. Yuppie doopie doo. Okay, now we're probably going to do start a little different format today. I go half an hour with news headlines and local news and so on, and then we're going to break for 10 minutes and then come back to you with a couple of program thoughts, and then we're going to break, and we hope that we will either do one or two things. We'll either have something from the archive, or we will have an interview. Now, Suzanne Rucho normally joins us on a Monday, but she is actually traveling today and said that she would join us later in the week. So probably today we will have something from the archives, and I hope that you will. But we thought that sitting down and watching 3 hours of us is very unlikely, and so we're going to break it up into sections, and then you can figure out where you want to actually watch or you don't. All right, let's very quickly then go to the newspaper headlines, and the main news is either about scandal or now a threat by Putin to assassinate Prime Minister Johnson, or at least when he was Prime Minister. The Financial Times leads with Sunak sacks Tory party chair Zawi over serious breach of minister's code. He's come under fire for not acting quickly enough. His excuses are, well, it was all rather complicated because all this was Boris's fault. And once again, leadership is being shown to be skin deep. Absolutely none at all. Is when faced with a problem, run for cover and blame somebody else. That's not what we want to hear, Mr. Sunak. Is being Prime Minister is rather more than making suave speeches, rather more than pulling the strings of the Treasury. It is all about belief and firmness and leadership. That's what it's about. And everybody's forgot to tell you that, haven't they? So it's unfortunate that you are now blaming everybody else. And who have you got on your side? George Osborne, that well-known turncoat, who refused to accept that we were out of Europe, became the editor of the Evening Standard, and caused mayhem all the way around. Oh dear, they still can't keep their fingers out of politics, can they? They have to meddle. They simply have to meddle. Right, so there's Nadim Zawi has been sacked as Tory party chairman over a penalty he was forced to pay to HMRC. The Financial Times notes that an inquiry found Zawi had committed serious breaches of the ministerial code and says the move represents a significant U-turn of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who only weeks ago insisted Zawi had addressed this matter in full. Now he's having to eat his words. It's not his fault, you see. It's Boris. Boris got it all started. Shame Zawi's sacked is what the Metro says. He's not sorry at all. Vlad's threat to kill Boris appears in the first edition, the first mention, and that's in the Metro. Yeah. So Boris is international stuff. The Day of the Jackal, all that sort of stuff. Oy, gosh almighty. The Mirror is takes rotten to the core. Oh yeah, that's lots of scandal, and so on and so forth. And so it's all the Tories and so on. That's the Mirror at the moment. It can't take. I mean, actually, it's got a good point. But it's the sound of the siren is that they can't keep the bitterness and venom out of their reporting, and that's very sad. The Guardian, a serious failure. Zawi forced out over tax claims, and the Eye is that Sunak's allies blame Johnson for the Tory fleece after the PM sacked Zawi. Well, there you are. That's it in a nutshell with the Eye. And they're now blaming Boris Johnson. He's the man who got all this fleece started, and so therefore it's okay if Sunak doesn't act with any sort of vigor on the issue. It's all too complicated, you see. Yes. The Times. Zawi acts as Sunak gets tough on standards. All right, well, the paper has done a reasonable job of reporting the facts there instead of getting involved in the emotional claptrap that we see in some of the other papers. The Daily Telegraph, PM sacked Zawi without a fair hearing. Oh, who's saying that? Right. Allies of Zawi have also claimed that he was sacked without being given a fair hearing. No smoke without fire in this particular case, I think Zawi. He's claiming that some of the actions he took weren't put before the committee which found him guilty. Daily Express, Boris, Putin told me I could kill you in a minute. Aha, now we get down to some of the very interesting stuff. Now we're getting into spy land. Now we're getting into dramatic novels about politics. You couldn't get more dramatic than this, is that in a telephone call while he was still Prime Minister, Putin he told Johnson that if the West stepped 1 foot into Ukraine to try and stop him, then he would be the man to take the price penalty and would be assassinated. Boris shrugged it off and said, get stuffed. As indeed he should do, but they're not very happy bunnies with each other at the moment. The Daily Mail, Putin said to kill Boris, I don't want to hurt you, but with a missile it would take only a minute. The Mail says that Johnson tried to placate Putin by playing down the prospect of Ukraine joining NATO, and describes the president's response as astonishing. Yeah. The Daily Star, Pammy librarian. The Star stays well away from everything this morning. It doesn't want to get a figures dirty. Oh dear. So that's where the papers say. Not actually for that one story. Well, there are two stories. One that Zawi is going to go. That was really the moment you get tainted with scandal, that's where you stay. And I'm afraid that is the headline story. However, drama, in as much as Boris has now revealed that Putin quite casually said, "Oh, we'll shoot you. It's only take us a minute with our present hardware to get to you and kill you." So, oh dear, 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 dear. The international scene is really hotting up. The Pammy the Librarian is all about, I think, a Baywatch pin-up girl. Became, let's see, what did she become? Oh, Pamela Anderson wants to be a librarian before being asked to appear in a magazine. Oh, it's a silly, trippery nonsense story, and not worth, I think, that we should pay any attention to it. Let us take a look at the local stuff. It's not it wasn't a lot after the weekend, but we can see that apparently there are vouchers around for money off energy bills, and they have been sent out to all sorts of people who haven't used them, haven't claimed them. And according to this, there's only a week left to claim the money on these vouchers. So if you're holding a fistful of them, get down and get them redeemed very quickly, because their value will be next week, this time next week, will be zilch. Although I have to say that it is a strange one for the watchdog to worry about. Now, bubbling up over the weekend, major retailers have recalled some products. Zara, Amazon, and Wayfair recall clothing, toys, and sofas amid choking and fire risks. Oh dear, have been sent to recall. The Office for Product Safety and Standards has said that there are some problems with these particular products. So if you got any of those things, soft toys and some sofas from Amazon or the other two Bs, then watch out. You better do some checking back, because it appears that they are both a choking and a fire risk. And we can't have children dying, can we? Yeah, okay. Don't know that there's not a great deal else happening locally for the moment. That doesn't mean to say that it won't. Let's see. There was a crash. It took place on Sunday. And a man of 53 was rushed to hospital with potentially life-changing injuries. The crash was on the A21, and there was a news alert put out. The man has been left potentially with life-changing injuries after an A21 crash, and police are appealing to anyone who witnessed the crash in Watlington shortly after 5 a.m. It's it doesn't give us any more details of the crash. So there you are. All right, where are we now? It's 8:49. Let me just make a little comment about this morning's batch of headlines. We got once again the fact that we got small. We've got sleaze up to our ears. Is quite often this is a way that history shows us is the governments actually divert attention when things get really tough and they don't want people to know about it. I think we're probably getting a bit that way now. More and more people are finding the pinch. That more and more violence is rising, and more and more sickness seems to be developing across the province. It's a bit very sad this situation that we reached. But in some ways, we're our own worst enemies. Let me just talk a moment about Stuart Dolby, with some authority, suggests that Boris appointed people who were no threat to him in his cabinet, not anticipating that he would go and that some of these people are left if they want. And it has not worked out at all, because what's happened is he didn't anticipate that he would get dumped. Then when he was, he thought he could buy his way out of trouble, getting involved in many heady projects. And where is he now? Well, he's on the outs of government, really. In theory, he can still pull strings, but for the moment, he's out. And that makes for a very uncomfortable situation. Well, we've got Sunak and his predecessor, not probably able to talk, and party politics is battling it up again. I'm not sure. I've got the never mind. Let's have a look to see. We have to go around the weekend, I'm afraid, and we should. Not really. Let's go flying. I'm a very accomplished flyer now. But way back in the 60s, when commercial jets still were being tested on commercial flights, then getting on board an aircraft was something of a trauma. We sat there hoping like hell that the pilot knew what he was doing and that he would get us down at the other end. And of course the pilots didn't know what they were doing, and they did get us down at the other end. But then again, air crashes became front page news, and it seemed always there was a crash just before I was supposed to fly. And so I wasn't the best flyer. Then one morning, somebody at the station, radio station I was working at, said, "Oh, someone's got to go up in a light aircraft and do traffic reports." Ha ha ha, I said, "They're not getting me into that." Guess who they came knocking on the door to? Hayes, you go out, you do the traffic reports. Well, I had no choice. I couldn't say no. I had to do it. So indeed I did. And away I went each morning, getting up at about 4:30, driving out to the airport and getting there about 5 o'clock, marching over to the far side of the airfield and getting into a Cessna 172, taking off, soaring above the city and passing on information about what was happening in the traffic. Wow. It took me 2 or 3 days to get used to the fact that this is what I was going to do twice a day. But then eventually I began to calm down and began to quite enjoy it. I enjoyed it so much, in fact, that I fell asleep one morning. I dozed, and the pilot said, "I think your station is calling you." And I heard the magic words, and now we're going up above the city, above the traffic, to see what was happening on the roads. So I opened my eyes, looked down, and immediately began to give a report. And the report was that there was a big jam of buses near the Oak Street Bridge, which went over the Fraser River. Wow! what a report. And then as we turned the aircraft and flew away, I realized that this was the bus terminal. I had just said that there were traffic jams of buses, and I'd been looking down at where the buses congregated before they set out on their morning routes. It's nothing like a great report. The pilot turned to me and he said, "You know, you've got this job licked. It's a bit boring, isn't it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, it is really. No, I mean, not much to say other than what's going on in the traffic. I try to brighten it up a little bit with a little quip here and there, but..." Right, tomorrow morning he said, "You get in the left-hand seat and I'll teach you to fly." And he did. And I was fortunate to have almost a year and a half of a flying experience. I logged 400 hours on the Cessna. I logged a couple of hours on a twin-engine aircraft and a couple of hours on other aircraft. I was the luckiest man in the world. And he put me into some pretty awful conditions. And we would fly up. I would give a report, and then we would do some what's known touch and goes. In other words, you land, you circle, you land, you circle, just to get some practice in. And we did. And one morning, a gust of wind took it, and I thought that the wing was going to be ripped off. Well, he grabbed the stick and managed to get us out of trouble. But it just shows the sort of thing that if you're going to be a professional pilot, that you have to put up with. So confident did we become on flying around together that he would set little tests, and he would say, "There are clouds on the North Shore over the mountains. Why don't we go over and see if we can break the wings of this aircraft?" Yes, let's do that. And we would deliberately fly into this mucky weather and get churned around and watch the wings, knowing full well that they wouldn't fall off. But daring. And it did turn out to be a lot of fun. I have to say, it turned out to be a lot of fun. A couple of other incidents. I used to take VIPs up in the afternoon and say, "Okay, here are some pollution issues," and so on and so forth. And one afternoon we got my good friend, but also a colleague, Mrs. Grace McCarthy, who was the Deputy Prime Minister at the time. And we got out onto the runway, and away we went. And a jet had taken off just before us, and it was a fairly still evening. So you can't see them, but the whirls of air, of course, by the jet's wings are still there. And sure enough, we got 3 or 4 feet from the ground, and away it went. We damn near lost the cabinet minister. The deputy prime minister. Once again, he came to the rescue, flipped it over, and we managed to save the day. The other item that I think was worth reporting is that we flew backwards. Have you ever flown backwards, he said. And this young chap was about 21 or 22. He was a nice young fellow. We bought him a helmet and nicknamed him the Red Baron. And he was to die in tragic circumstances in a plane crash later on. But he was a nice young man and very helpful and lots of fun. And so we went, and he said, we need a marker. And the plane travels forward at about 100 miles or so an hour. Actually, it's a little over 72 miles for the takeoff speed. And he said that the wind this morning is particularly strong. So he put the nose of the aircraft into the strong wind, and we watched the bridge below. And although we were keeping airspeed, the plane started to travel backwards. And so here we were in reverse, in a plane, in the sky, watching the bridge recede while the plane powered forward at the correct speed and the wind pushed us back. And that's the sort of nonsense that we would get up to. And there are lots of other stories I could tell you about my flying experience. But perhaps this last one will bring something of a smile to your lips. I was trying very hard to impress who later became my wife, my girlfriend at the time, Valerie, and I said, would you like to come flying here and come out with me this afternoon, and we can go and we'll go and do some traffic reports, but we'll also take a look at the Vancouver from the air. How lovely. Yes, she said, oh, that'd be super. Anyway, we got settled into the plane, I taxied out, checked with the tower, yes, we're all okay, we were about to take off, there's nothing in our way. Rolled it out onto the runway and roared down the runway ready to take off. And the tower came on and said, MLA, MLA, it's the call letters of the aircraft. You're going down the runway the wrong way. Oh my goodness me. We had to screech to a halt and take off the right way. She still married me. Well, that's my flying experience. I suppose I should fly off now. Till the next story, the next tall tale. Tiddly. As I was just thinking about what we might do, but I realise it is 9:02, and so we're going to leave you for half an hour, and we will return with a couple more stories, and look forward to rejoining you. For the moment, if you go and get some breakfast, brandy and coffee is always good to get the day started. And we'll see you in just a little while. So I did have a nice little thing prepared on the clue that is, and but at least we can use it tomorrow. All right, let us just a moment say cheerio.